All right, welcome to the DFS Build MLB edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with the legendary Taylor Smith, ready to go over this massive. Geez, how many games? 13 games, did you say?
Sounds right.
It's a big one. Big MLB slate for Friday night. So let's get right into it. Let's not waste much time. Just if we do help you at all, please give this video a like and also consider subscribing. If you subscribe, it lets us know that we're helping you out, and also it can alert you to future videos like this. We also cover NBA, NFL, and even UFL. So definitely like and subscribe so you can stay in the loop. All right, Taylor, let's get right into it. First game, we have the Rays and Orioles at Camden Yards. Let me click off here and get the
Are we
games
doing
up.
like pitchers and stacks that way?
Yeah, that's fair, actually. I don't know what I was thinking. I was in NBA mode for some reason. Okay, so pitchers. Let's do all the pitchers here. Sort by projections over at Roto Grinders. Tanner Bybee is leading the way. That feels good. Not at all.
Always.
Okay, so if I'm looking at here at the top part for the guys as they're projecting, I mean, Tanner Houck looks pretty good at 9.6, but Walker Buehler's obviously standing out the most at 8.7. And then Tanner Bybee obviously is the best projection. He's carrying 20% ownership. Houck is at 19, and Walker is at 23 right now. So of those three, I think Walker is the best play. I think he's obviously the best price. Similar projection. He is the chalkiest of the three, but I actually don't really mind that. How are you feeling about these top three plays here?
Yeah, that's not a lot to like. I get it with Buehler. He's kind of cheap, but not the greatest strikeout pitcher to begin with. He's okay. I could see him being more overowned than the projections would say.
Well, he's facing the Rockies, so
yeah, but not a bad hitter's park and stuff. So I get it, but I don't think he's like some obvious SB1 on this slate. He projects fine, but it's kind of a deep pitching slate, just not a lot of great options at the top. I think I feel better about Houck. Detroit, another kind of low power, high strikeout-ish offense. He's also just better, I think, overall than Buehler. So he's more expensive, but I get it, and I think I'm probably paying up for him as my kind of SP1 today.
Interesting. Yeah, both the matchups are advantageous for sure. I hear that. I guess the ownership on Walker would be incentive to make a different move for sure. I still like him. I'm probably going to take the discount there compared to him and Bybee, and I just don't trust Bybee.
I was talking about Houck.
No, I know. I like Houck. I have no problem with Houck. I think the price is the only reason why I would maybe just kind of go down to Walker a little bit. I mean, the Rockies do have some decent lefties to throw at him, but they also have like a 26% collective whiff rate. So I kind of like that. I think obviously it could be a really good spot for him. When you're looking at just like for reasoning to maybe not fall in love with Bybee, just even though he has the top projection, the Nationals, I mean, lately they've been blowing up pitchers when we think that we can attack them. They do have a 23% collective whiff rate, but Bybee's had some issues against lefties, and they have 6 to throw at him. More specifically, his K rate drops by 9%. He's given up a 200 ISO, 368 WOBA. It's not really great. And I, for one, have been burned by Bybee several times. So I'm going with you on Houck. I'm not going to go Bybee, and I love that he's 20% owned. I'll definitely have some Nats exposure tonight.
Yeah, I'll get to him kind of just by process of elimination. Like, there's not really a lot else to love. Like, both Lopez's look kind of fine, but I could see Reynaldo being a little overowned against Oakland. Pablo against Houston, not really into that.
No.
Cease against Kansas City, he's probably the best overall option, like in terms of talent, but not an easy matchup at all. Park downgrade too. That Park also suppresses strikeouts, so not really dying to pay for him either at 9.8.
No, I'm in complete agreement. He's almost 10K. He's facing a team that has a 20% collective whiff rate, 182 collective ISO. Like, it's a very, very bad spot to pay a premium for Dylan Cease. Obviously, he's got the strikeouts. So he's Dylan Cease. He can come out and rip anybody up for 12Ks if he's on. It just doesn't seem like the spot to pay for him at all.
No, I think the pay down play would be Soriano, just because it's Seattle, super high strikeout offense. He's cheap. He's a pretty good strikeout guy to begin with. Walks are an issue, but does get a park upgrade. I think he's just cheap enough to play. And the top tier looks kind of underwhelming, so why not save 2K and go down to him?
Yeah, I don't mind him at all. His strikeouts dip quite a bit against lefties. They have 3, 4, 5 to throw at him, so that could be an issue, but not giving up a lot of power. Obviously, the strikeouts overall are there, and the Mariners do strike out, as we know. They do have 182 collective ISO, so it's not exactly a safe spot by any means. But like you said, he is cheap, and the K upside is there, so I like him quite a bit as an SP2. How do you feel about Tobias Myers?
He's fine just because he's cheap and
White Sox.
White Sox. So
yeah,
he's okay. Like I think Soriano is more upside, but I am getting to him quite a bit. He's my fourth highest owned pitcher at the moment, behind the Tanners and Soriano.
Tobias Myers, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like him quite a bit. I mean, obviously the 6.9 price tag is very nice. He had one game where he wasn't good, but other than that, he's been just like decent. We had one game where it was really bad, and other than that, he's had 9.7 plus fantasy points in every other start. So while that isn't anything to write home about, obviously, getting the White Sox at that price is, it's appealing. Let's see here. I don't really like that Blanco is 10.1K because I was really hoping. What am I looking at? Is that not right?
No, that's right. I was just shaking. Like I don't have him at all.
I was gonna say. I was like, what? I was like, am I
reading
it wrong? Yeah, because I was like, oh man, if Blanco, if he's gonna get ownership on this slate, I'm gonna stack the Twins like there's no tomorrow. I was really excited about it, but then I looked at his price. I was like, okay, well nobody's gonna be rostering Blanco at that price, and nor should you. I mean, the Twins obviously are not a bad strikeout matchup, but no, I don't want to do that. Not really.
That's probably the worst salary I've seen all season on anybody.
Yeah, it's not good. Not really seen anything else that's like super advantageous.
Mind, like Barrios 8-2. Pittsburgh, not the greatest lineup. He's okay enough to begin with. I think you can make a similar case for Montgomery just because the Mets are pretty watered down. I don't think Pete Alonso's in the lineup today again. So not the most menacing group. He hasn't been. Oh, Alonso is in the lineup. I take it back. But still, like he's okay enough. He hasn't been great, but should regress in a good way. And he's 7,800 in a good park. So I think he's a fine enough kind of tournament play.
Barrios is okay, worth a shot at 8.2K. Montgomery is not like a terrible pitcher or anything, and he has a good price at 7.8K. I would lean on the other side of that though, especially with PD in. Montgomery has a 359 WOBA and 189 ISO against righties and 11% K rate.
Yeah, but it's only like a handful of starts. And
I know. I'm just saying. I mean, he has a traditional split against righties in general. So last year he only had a 19.8% K rate against righties. So I don't know. I don't really think I'm going to attack this game that much. But if I did, I'd be more on the Mets side than Montgomery. They do have a collective 173 ISO, and their whiff rate's only 22%. It's not like terrible. So I don't know. Not majorly into Mets. It's not like Montgomery's a guy we want to go out of our way to pick on all the time or anything, but I'd be more of them than him, I think. But I like the Barrios call. I don't have a problem with that. I'm certainly not interested in Pirates, so I would definitely lean him over Pirates for sure. Let's see. I don't want to play Michael Wacha. I'll tell you that much.
No.
The price is okay at 7.1K, but obviously he's facing a Padres lineup that strikes out like 16% of the time. So don't have any interest in that. I don't really see much else that's worth getting excited about. Do you? Is there any other pitcher that stands out there? Are we kind of good there?
I don't think we really mentioned Wu. I think he's perfectly okay. Like the whole 9K and up range is fine. I guess mid-8s and up. Like you can play them all except Blanco. But he's not like outstanding. It's not the greatest matchup in terms of Ks. He's kind of just okay to begin with. Like Severino, I guess you can make a similar case for it, 8K. Arizona's lineup has not been nearly as good this season. And it's a good pitching park, but yeah, Savali maybe just because he's 7-2, but don't really want to pick on the Orioles. So you can kind of cast a wide net with shit on this slate because nobody looks any good. I guess Fetty, even against the Brewers, like Fetty's been okay. He's 8,100. The Brewers are not a very good offense. I guess I'm okay with that, but he's pretty far down the list.
Disagree. I would definitely lean the Brewers in that matchup personally. Fetty's been actually pretty good this year. You're right, but
Brewers also hit the ball on the ground a ton, and he's a ground ball guy, so not a great spot for them.
Yeah, I still like the Brewers a little bit just because the park and they do have decent power, and it's still Fetty. So I would definitely look there personally, but I understand it just because they do strike out 23% of the time against righties, so that's fine. All right, so on to the offenses just in general. What's the best way to look at stacks on here? Just you want to talk about the ones you like the most?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta, I guess the Dodgers would be like the chalk. I'm not getting to them a ton, which scares me a bit. Hudson, a strikeout guy, obviously, but ground balls are okay with him. Park upgrade for him, but still not a good pitcher's park overall. Like they're going to be the top option, I think, if you're stacking, but ownership should probably be there too. I don't want to play Atlanta either. Like they've been abysmal. I don't really know what's going on there. Like they hit 8 home runs every night last season. This year, getting shut out every night. No Acuna. Thought that would help them actually because he was awful, but I don't know. It's a good spot again against Sears at home. Homer prone lefty. In theory, it's a powerful lineup. A lot of rights in there. I will be getting to them again. I'm not confident about it, but it's kind of hard to avoid them. Like they still have all sorts of righty power to throw at him. Riley and Murphy haven't been good. I guess Murphy's barely played, but Riley's awful. Still playing them. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping the homer prone shows up again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with the Braves. I would say quite easily the Dodgers are my favorite stack. I don't think I'm going to be alone on that, though. So probably going to be the chalky stack, like you kind of were alluding to. So I don't mind eating that, though, and then trying to get different with my secondary stack or just how I stack the Dodgers and look at maybe switching things up at pitching. They look good, and honestly, they are a lot easier to get to than I thought they would be. So I don't have a problem with that. I do think the Nats are a little bit interesting as a leverage play on that Bybee ownership. And just in general, this matchup isn't bad. Also, the Guardians are going to be chalky against Patrick Corbin, so I don't really personally want to do that. Just real quick to touch on them.
That's kind of scary, but I agree.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They're coming out of – they were just in Coors, and offenses tend to struggle the second they get out of a park like that. So that's one thing to consider. And then, I don't know. The Corbin blow-up special just doesn't really seem to pan out as much as people expect it to. That's not something that happens that much. They still do have a 22% whiff rate. 145 collective ISO is fine, but it's not like that scary in this spot. So I don't know. I'm not going to play Corbin necessarily, although you could at his cheap. He's like 5K or 5.4 or something. But I'm not really looking to do that. But I am looking to get away from the Guardians. And a lot of times when an offense is chalky, I mean, there's nothing. This is very noisy, admittedly. But a lot of times when there's a chalk offense, it's actually the offense they're facing that ends up being a lot more productive for whatever reason. I don't know why. But also, Bybee's owned. So if Bybee's going to be a 20+% owned pitcher on this slate, and the Nationals are a perfectly capable lineup, 153 collective ISO, again, not like super scary, but there's enough power there, especially with Joey Gallo in the lineup with 255 ISO against righties. And look at his splits, man. I mean, Bybee 200 ISO, 368 WOBA. And like I said earlier, his strike rate comes down by 9% when facing lefties, and they have a lot of them. So I like the Nats a little bit. I'm not like, putting my foot down here and saying we must stack Nats across the board, but I do like them as a leverage play for sure. Dodgers and Braves look great. What was the other team that I was really digging earlier? Let me see.
San Diego.
Let's see. Yeah, against Waka, that's a totally fine play. They weren't really like popping out big time for me. It's more of like I just wouldn't want to interest in Waka. Let's see. Obviously, Boston
Marlins.
Against Kenton. I think Boston looks decent here. against Kenta Maeda. 17% K rate against lefties, 214 ISO. It's even worse against righties this year, 300 ISO. So their lineup looks gross, but in this park against a guy who's struggling, that seems pretty good to me. So who else is standing up for you?
The Marlins are my highest owned stack right now. It feels bad. It's the Marlins at home against. I mean, they're facing Jose Urena, who used to play for them. He was awful for them. He's been weirdly good this year, but seems a little fraudulent. Still not striking guys out. The thing that gives me pause is he is a pretty good ground ball guy, and their lineup hits the ball on the ground a ton against righties, but they're cheap. Like besides Jazz, there's no one in the lineup over 3,600. So pretty easy to get to them with like Texas or the Dodgers or the Braves with expensive pitching. Maybe more of a mini stack. I would full stack him in a large field, 20 max, 150 max scenario. But for the dollar, I do think they're pretty interesting just because Urena is not imposing and they're affordable.
No, I mean, he's given up a home run in 5 of his last 6 games. So, I mean, we know he can be got to. He has not gotten blown up, though. I think he had one game that he allowed more than 3 runs on the year. So
but he has been a reliever a little bit.
Right, true.
So
true.
Kind of,
although, to be fair, I feel like anytime you're facing Urena, you're like, your offense looks awesome and projects really well in these systems. And then what usually happens? He lasts 5 innings and he doesn't do anything. You don't want to play him for DFS, but you also don't really, benefit that much from stacking against him. So what I'll say is, I think Miami kind of projects well to the point that they're probably going to be kind of chalky, like probably a top 5 chalk, like own stack. Would you agree with that?
No.
Well, when I ran systems earlier, they were like popping like crazy. So my guess is if everybody else is running these systems, that ownership ticks up then. But I'm not going to say not to stack the Marlins, especially if you disagree with the ownership play. If they're not chalky, then sure. I mean, you can definitely target him. Absolutely. But they're still the Marlins. So if they are going to be owned, I definitely have no issue with going away from that.
Well, yeah, if they're owned, then it's less appealing. But
yeah,
I don't think it's a huge slate. I don't really think they're going to be overwhelmingly. I don't think anyone really is going to be overwhelmingly owned on the hitting side. Maybe like Ohtani, but
individually, sure. Like the Dodgers are probably the top stack. I think I'm going to go Dodgers and then maybe pick on one of these pitchers that are carrying ownership. Like I said, like Bybee, Dodgers with like 3 Nats or something, or couple, 3 Tigers against Houck. Even though I like him, I don't mind picking on him if he's going to be that owned. The 3 most owned pitchers are Buehler, Bybee, and Houck right now. And then your boy that you talked about, Jose Barrios. But yeah, so that's probably what I would do. I don't mind eating the chalk 5-man stack with the Dodgers, and I'll probably start there. And I am going to probably get Buehler in there too. I just think he's pretty likely to win. He's facing a not great Rockies team out of Coors, and he's only 8.7K. So even though his individual numbers don't project amazingly, they actually still are on par with everybody else up top on the slate. He's only projected for 1 point fewer than all the other top options, and he's cheaper. So to me, that's chalk that I'll probably just eat, and I don't really mind that, and I'll just get different at SP2 in my secondary stack. If you're going after one stack at a high level, like going to be really exposed, who do you think that's going to be?
I don't think there's anyone I'm going to be like insanely over on. I think I'm going to spread it out because it seems like a slate where you can spread it out on both sides, hitting and pitching. But Atlanta, I'm struggling to get away from, and I think San Diego is also interesting with a park upgrade against a pretty average right-hander.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego doesn't strike out, so like I said, I have no problem with them. I didn't think like they look like a screaming, play just because the numbers don't like pop up majorly. But yeah, when you have a 16% whiff rate and they do have some power, they're definitely interesting. All right, that is going to do it for us. Real quick before we close it up, Taylor, let's do our home run call. New little thing to add. I'm going to call Joey Gallo bombing one tonight. You got a guy you think is for sure or you feel really good about sending one in the stands tonight?
Let's take a look. Be really brave and say Ohtani, but I'll say Ozuna number
It's
one.
still brave.
Then,
It's you get like major plus money to bet on home runs. So, I mean, whether it be matchup or park or just talent, I think it's fun and it's worth trying. And then honestly, anybody in the comment section, let's hear your home run call for the night too, and then we can all compare and see who got it right. I think Gallo looks good here. 255 ISO in a good spot for him. Obviously not an efficient bet overall, but I think I like the Nats a little bit as a underrated stack.
I'll say Ozuna, and then off the board would be Connor Wall.
Okay, that is off the board. I like it though because I like the Red Sox a little bit tonight. All right, that is going to do it for us. Thanks for hanging out with us and watching. Hopefully, help you out. If we do, please give this video a like and also consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for tuning in and good luck.